Hello, agent friends. It's Mike Fisher. Some of you did a webinar hangout with us on Listing Booster a few weeks ago. Some of you did not catch the hangout, but many folks said they wanted to go back and look at some of the information again. So I am going to do my best to recreate the webinar that I did a few weeks ago to introduce you to Listing Booster, to talk about some of the lead capture and follow-up options, and hopefully give you as much valuable information as I possibly can. So without getting too into the details, I'm gonna just jump right in, and I'm gonna start screen sharing. We're gonna go right into this presentation, and we're just gonna move along as best we can here and get you guys as much valuable information as possible. So, all right. First things first, I believe I need to make sure I got all my screens in the right spot here. All right. Well, I want to do a slideshow, but let's go with it the way it is. All right. So ultimately, Jerry and Rachel and some of the other agents that you may know are generating hundreds of leads each time they list a property. We have examples from 2016, from this winter as well, and they're creating massive value to their sellers, and ultimately building large databases to make money on the follow-up and to have future lists of folks to follow up with. So let's talk about one of the tools that they're using to do this. If you don't know or what Listing Booster is, it's essentially a marketing system that allows you to generate online tools to market your property, and it allows you to do so fairly in a fairly automated fashion, I guess. Listing Booster has text codes, virtual tours, property websites, creates a YouTube video for you, allows you to do lead capture, allows you to do text capture, and there's a bit of automation on the follow-up. Now, when you work with me, we actually try to help you get even better at the automation. So I'm going to jump over and show you that in just a minute. But on the text codes, you can essentially put those codes out there on sign riders. You can put them in Craigslist ads. Like I use them sometimes in Facebook ads to generate mobile tours of your property where folks will text in, and in return, they will receive a mobile tour on their phone. Guess what? When they do that, you ultimately have their phone number. So you can, of course, follow up from there. One of the things we do to generate the text are we use images of the property. Images look something like this. This would be an example of an image that you would put on Craigslist or perhaps on a Facebook ad. And then when you put the message here, you text that to 878787, you'll end up as a customer getting a mobile tour back. All right, so some loan officers that I know, this is an example for my friend Tony in Washington, actually get very creative, and I think he uses Canva, but he uses high quality images with the text codes. So when he's sharing them on social media, Facebook, etc., he gets a lot of hits because his image is very, very high quality. He's editing them with high resolution, I guess, if you will. So, all right, the single property websites, I'm going to take a quick break and bump over to Listing Booster itself to show you more of what that does. Let's drag this back over to my main screen here. All right, so as an agent, when you create a Listing Booster account, you end up with an agent dashboard that allows you to manage all the listings that you have, manage the leads that you have, and ultimately manage your marketing. So first thing I want to show you is the actual website that is created when you list a property. So this is an example from our good friend Rachel in Livingston County. She has a new listing on River Ridge in Linden as of 2/18/11/50 that is not under contract yet. So if you have a buyer, of course, hit her up. If you don't know how to contact her, hit me up. Now, what I want to show you is when we look at one of the main functions of Listing Booster, the website, a single property tour website, it pulls up and it's pulling this information right out of, in Metro Detroit Realcomm, but out of the automated, oh, look at this, continue with Facebook. So this is lead capture at its finest. So when folks start looking and they start reading the specs on the property, they're ultimately asked to either click this button, which will pull their information from Facebook and send it back to Rachel and I, or click here and type their email. So I'm going to click here, continue with Facebook. Very, very soft sell, if you will. But now Rachel knows that I was looking at this property. So here, I just wanted to show you a little bit more about the features of the website. Photo gallery. Of course, these will be sorted in the image that she actually uploads them into the database. Virtual tour. There's a couple versions of this. There's a version that you can brand. Looks like I need to download a new Adobe. Mine's getting outdated, but all right. Oh, it's working here. Cool. So she's got some music in the background. There's a version that you can use in that's, I guess, a compliant MLS or a MLS version. It doesn't have branding. This, I believe, is the branded version. But I know we use some of these tours and ads as well. In fact, I've seen some folks upload this video into Zillow. I don't know for sure if Zillow likes that or not, but I've certainly seen agents do that. And then just a regular video as well. It's a YouTube video that you can use how you like. So ultimately, those tools are created for you in your dashboard, and it's automated. It's pulled from the listing service, at least for most of the agents in Metro Detroit. If you're watching this in another state, every single state is automated, but Metro Detroit certainly is. So you as an agent have the ability to take your listings and turn them into lead capture pages, mobile tours, websites, all that kind of stuff. Now, some agents have come to me and said, "Hey, Mike, I've already got all this. My tech guy does this, or I pay someone to do this, or I have circle picks." That's great, fantastic. I know agents that pay hundreds of dollars for all these services for each listing that they have. This actually only costs you $15 a year, I believe, as an agent. So as an agent, you could go ahead and pay somebody $40, $50, $60 a month, or you could save hundreds and hundreds of dollars and have this done for you automated. So real quick tour over here. There's text codes, there's websites, there's virtual tours. This is all on your agent dashboard. There's print flyers, there's Craigslist links. So I don't want to spend a ton of time giving you a tour, because if you haven't signed up yet and you do sign up, I'll teach you a little bit more about how to use all this stuff. But ultimately, I wanted to show you guys the main feature, why this is super, super beneficial to an agent. So, all right. So now we talked a little bit more about what Listing Booster does. Let's talk a little bit about what it can do for you as an agent and what it can do for your seller. So if you have that single property website, you can actually share that website on social media. You can blast email lists. You can have your seller share it with all their friends. You can have your seller email it. You can post it pretty much all over the place. And as I just showed you, it's fairly easy to generate leads. You can either get leads in the internet with the Facebook opt-in, or folks perhaps will be texting from some of the text code and text images that I just showed you. So that's very valuable to you as an agent, but it's also valuable to your seller, because you're able to communicate more clearly with folks that might be interested in the property and perhaps drive additional traffic to that property. So getting the contact information from the folks looking at the house, that's kind of the gateway to entry in marketing. You could put your face on a bulletin board or on a shopping cart, or like I actually did that this winter. But I will tell you, I've got my face up there in a shopping cart. People sometimes say, "Hey, I saw your face in a shopping cart," but very few people actually call me off that. Versus this, I've got properties out there, and like we mentioned, I've got agents generating 200-300 contacts every time they list a house. So, so generating capture information, doing some conversion, is really the gateway to entry in marketing. We can't market a whole lot to people if we don't know who they are. So what most agents that are using this effectively are doing is actually sharing their properties on Facebook. They're sharing them with communities, with community groups. They're having their sellers share it with all their friends. They're running ads on their business page. They're putting it, of course, on their personal page. They're having lender partners like myself help them share the property. So essentially, they're distributing this this lead generation tool, this property information all over on social media. So I'm going to show you just a couple examples, and I don't have this scripted, so hopefully I don't fall on my face too bad here, but I'm going to jump over, we're going to hop to Facebook, and we're going to see what we can find. Perhaps I'll pull some examples from my own pages, and then I'll maybe pull some examples from pages that I see other agents doing as well. Go figure, I was just talking about Rachel, and of course her post is at the top of my screen here. Who says Facebook doesn't know what you're doing all day, every day? It's kind of creepy. All right, so my internet speed is not too slow here. We're gonna go to first a page that I run, and I'll see if I can find some examples of posts that I did. All right, so here is a page that I run. This is a page that's not really branded. I just kind of run it locally. Some people will call this a community page. And I sometimes go in and I share listings for agents that are listing homes somewhere close to South Lyon, Michigan. I believe I have some examples. Here's an example right here of a listing that I helped Josh run. Just did a tiny bit of work, and ultimately, this is what I wanted to show you guys. We put that single property website that I just showed you, I have it right here. We put the text code here. We just typed a little bit of a script. You know, this one that says, look at this gem of a home. Homes are selling quickly. Comment below or text for a video tour. Share this post. Or if you want a private tour, just message us. So this was just a really simple post on the business page. We put it in front of a few thousand people, and I believe Josh actually generated several hundred hits or I guess contacts, additional emails, additional texts off of that particular property. Not necessarily just from this one place that I put it, because he shared it in quite a few places as well. But I also wanted to jump over. Let's take a look at find one maybe by Jerry on his personal page. Real Estate with Jerry. Okay, here's one of our good friends, Jerry in Novi. All right, now here we got, let's see what Jerry's up to today. Okay, he's got some coming soon. He's got some videos. Okay, all right. Jerry, where's your real estate post? This wasn't scripted, so I'm hoping I can find a post here if my Facebook doesn't freeze. All right, I know he has some listing booster posts a little bit further down on his page. Now, either way, looks like my Facebook's frozen. So, all right, I'll go back to that in a minute. But either way, I want to show you guys, Jerry is sharing his property on his business page. He's sharing it on his personal page. He's having his seller share it as well. So that's how he is putting the property out there and generating additional information and additional quote unquote hits or leads. So getting it out there on social media, blasting it to his email list. And like I mentioned, if you're signed up and you're in my agent group, we're going to give you a whole lot more specific training on exactly how we do this and how we generate hundreds of leads and not just a few. So one of the things that we're going to help you with right off the bat is we'll give you a checklist of what you want to do as soon as a property hits the market. So we'll give you what we call a listing booster launch plan. So here's an example of that. So we'd want to go into our agent account, set up the text codes, get our sign rider. There's something called a tracking pixel. This is in our advanced class where we teach you how to essentially market to the folks that have looked at your property once or twice online, to market to them over and over and over again. So this tracking pixel, if you see that there, that's kind of like an internet cookie, and that's our advanced class. So some of our best students, like Jerry and Rachel, are doing that right now. But you got to get through some of the basics first. You got to know how to set up your properties. So we want to turn the lead capture on. We want to get your text codes on. We want to share your property around the community. We want to be putting it on community pages and buy-sell groups, putting it on your personal page, tagging your friends, having your friends share it. Essentially getting the property out there as much as you can and leveraging the local community, leveraging your friends' databases to generate interest in the property that you've just listed. So once we start generating these contacts, now we have an additional list that we can market to if we need to run open houses. So all this stuff ties in together once you dive in and start learning more about marketing on the internet, on social media, and essentially becoming an advocate for your seller. So let's say that you get really good at doing all this. What's the next step? Well, the next step is documenting what you're doing so that you can show your sellers, look, I am one of the few agents that really pushes hard to market your property all over the place. You know, last property I marketed, this is how we did it. This is how we generated a bunch of contacts. And yes, every agent can get your property on Zillow and Realtor.com, and you know, has sign riders and open houses and or signs and open houses and all that kind of stuff. But I do things differently. I actively hunt for buyers. I put your property out there more than anybody else does. This is kind of how we do it. And here's some of the past results that we have. So creating value for the seller is huge. So now let's say you've gotten good at understanding how to set Listing Booster up. You're getting better at generating contacts. What's the next step? Pretty much every agent says, this is all great, Mike, but you know, I like creating value for my seller, and you know, I saw my listings pretty quick. I want to generate some of my leads. So I jokingly say, well, you're asking for some FU money. That stands for follow-up. Don't tell anyone I swear. I do once in a while. It's Saturday, it's not Sunday, so I can swear today. All right, so if you want to make that follow-up money, FU money, you need to understand kind of how the leads are coming in. You're getting, in some cases, the text leads, which you're going to have pretty much just a telephone number. The internet leads, in some cases, you get a phone number and an email. I was literally looking at my phone when it dinged just a second ago. The lead came in with a number and an email. And but again, in some cases, you just have a number. So understanding how the leads come in is important, but also understanding that if you get a lot of leads, you know, you could generate 300 leads, it doesn't equal 300 closed sales. So the concept of having a funnel or some, you know, a way to turn these 300 contacts into 2 or 3 or 4 people that are actually going to close, in some cases just one, is really what it's about. So step 1, we have a bunch of people that come in. You know, step 2, we probably want to have some kind of conversations with these people, whether it's through automation or whether it's, you know, manual entry. But either way, we want to have some specific actions that we're doing to kind of move folks along in the process and ultimately get them into our offices and perhaps start working with them. So one thing we know is that in internet marketing in general, if you respond within 5 minutes, you are much more likely to create a conversation than if you wait 30 minutes. You know, in fact, if you can create a response in 30 seconds to a minute, that's when people really kind of have you top of mind. So, you know, if somebody's out there looking at information and they don't find it, they're going to go click somewhere else. It's so easy to click. It's so easy to move on that you pretty much lost their attention. I had a lead come in last night with a name and a phone number. I was literally sitting at a Burger King. I texted that lead back and I called him literally before I ate my hamburger. And I got the guy on the phone last night at 8:30. Before I started this call, the guy texted me and said, "Hey, Mike, you told me you're gonna call me somewhere around noon or 1 tomorrow. I'm just reminding you that I'm here waiting for you." I didn't give him a specific time. I just said noon to 1. But either way, I called that guy right away. I explained to him that, you know, I was a real person. I told him, you know, why he'd seen my ad and what I was looking to do to help him and why I was better and why I was local, all that kind of stuff. I got the guy on the phone literally quickly, like because I called him within a minute and he answered because he was sitting there. You know, who are you? What's this about? That kind of thing. Started asking him questions, moved along. So I have a follow-up as soon as I hang up with this. So these fast responses are the key to connecting with the folks right away. Now, we don't always have time to call them. But you know, one thing I see a lot of agents doing is relying on an email to hopefully convert everybody and sell them. So you know, I think if you're only relying on email, that's cool. We can help you learn how to use CRM. We can help you learn how to automate. I'm going to go through that in some other slides. But the people that I see that are having the most success are really doing a ton of follow-up. They're following up quick. They're following up, you know, essentially within minutes, and they're following up often. Now, if you don't follow up, and I don't know where this stat came from, probably one of my smarter friends, If you wait more than 3 hours, 50% of all the folks that have hit you up or opted in or whatever, I just don't respond at all ever. So persistence, automation, and the last thing I want to mention, you want to try to communicate with folks the way that they want to be communicated with. Oftentimes when I get a new lead, one of the things in my initial text is asking them how do they prefer to contact. Would you prefer to text, email, or would you like me to dial you? In most cases, they say text, which is cool. But I don't ask them, do you want me to dial you when they have responded to a text message? Or if I've sent them a Facebook message, I don't ask them to get on the phone. I keep them on Facebook until they're more comfortable with me. I keep them on email until they're more comfortable, or I keep them on text because it appears that's where they're comfortable communicating. And I try not to switch the mode of communication up too much. All right. So more on follow-up here. And this is some of the advanced stuff, but I want you guys to see this because I know, if you're saying, what can Listing Booster do for me? Give me the details. I don't want a 30,000-foot view. I want all the details. Well, you're getting it. You can, I guess, stop and come back later in the presentation, but I really wanted to give you guys something to value. So, when it comes to follow-up, like we said, so many of our salespeople don't even go beyond a first call, a second call, third call. And if you look at it, if you actually hit people up 8 or 9 times, 97% of them are going to respond in one way or another. Now, they might be giving you a middle finger. They might be giving you a thumbs up. But either way, if you just keep pushing until you get one of those fingers, at least leave them in my database, keep following up with them, or move along. But if you don't get them to respond, then obviously there's zero sales opportunity. There's zero opportunity to work with a buyer or a seller. So, this just the consistency of the follow-up, whether it's automated, whether it's not, is really key. Skip the times of the day. We'll talk about that in another class. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit about, we just mentioned communicating with them in the method that they're most comfortable with. Now, if they don't respond to you, you sent them an email, you send them a text message. I'll talk about iMessage in just a minute. There are quite a few other things that you can do to follow up with people. I've seen loan officers, real estate agents, insurance agents, you say, hey, did you reach out to so-and-so? Yeah, I sent them an email. Okay, well, there's 3 or 4 or 5 ways you can reach out to people. If I really want to hunt somebody down, if I send them a text, if I dial them, if I email them, if I find them on Facebook or LinkedIn and message them, gosh, I hit them up basically 4 different methods, and my odds of them responding go way up. Man, this guy's really trying to track me down. Either he's stalking me, which sometimes I've been accused of, or he really cares. Now, if you hit people up like this, 1 or 2 or 3 methods, and you do it 3 times before you give up, you've essentially tried to contact them 9 times. I promise you, your contact rate will go way up. One of the tricks that many of our highly trained agents that are using Listing Booster that are having a ton of success with is they're essentially preloading messages on their iPhone. There's a Droid app as well, but for now I'll show you the iPhone. They're going under the keyboard settings, and they're programming shortcuts into their phone. So right here is just some examples. They're doing text replacement. I used to tell people I can teach you how to this, but man, this is Googleable. This is not too tricky. Do text replacement, put a little text code. When a lead comes in, all you got to do is this is a shortcut section for my friend Tony, but he does Z1, Z2. Mine would be I have some veteran leads. I have some Listing Booster leads. I'll have LB1, VA2. I've got some other systems I work, one of them is Southline. It says SL1. So I get essentially my text is ready to send out as soon as the lead comes in, and all I got to do is put my thumb over the phone number that comes through on email, and boom, I'm ready to send a text. So that's great. If you're an agent and you have somebody opting in on one of your properties, you could type the text replacement, and essentially all you need to do is just edit the property address whenever you have a new listing. It's not really that hard. So some effective messages that we've seen throughout the country, quick text, making sure you got the virtual tour. What did you think of the house? Asking people if they want a VIP tour, I think has worked very well. how's your home search going? Asking them questions, getting them engaged, talking about them and not you as much. So like I said, if you respond within the first few minutes, you usually, in many cases, you get a response. I have some great examples of different things that we've seen agents try, different scripts in some of my my agent classes and some of my agent groups that we can perhaps get to later. So I mentioned I was going to show you guys a little bit about iMessage. So here's something I want to show you real quick. If you get a new lead, you can essentially either copy and paste that into a new iMessage, or if you put your thumb on the email address from the home tour opt-in, the option to do an iMessage will pull up. iMessage is really going through to the person on the other end the same way a text message is. So, people that tell me, oh my gosh, I got a web lead and I can't text them. No, that's not true. I don't know what the stats are, but I think like 50% of the people in America have iPhones. So like half of these people you can iMessage just using their email address. Because guess what? The email that they use to log in with Facebook, that one's on their cell phone, I guarantee it. So I've actually found, as I've been testing it, I think it's 60-70% of the people you can iMessage off their email address. So you can do an iMessage, you can have a shortcut saved. I've talked to some agents, for example, my friend Jerry literally gave his kid his phone and said, look, man, I got this hot property, it's generating leads left and right. I'm going to give you my phone on Saturday. I just want you to go back and iMessage some of these people. Now that kind of took away from the responding in quickly in a minute or two, but it also, at least put an extra layer of follow-up in there. And I was really impressed. And I know he did start some great conversations and he moved some people along in the process. So I don't know if I want to spend too much time on this because I talk about this in some of my later classes and some of my Listing Booster higher level pieces, but I think you guys can figure this out without me jumping over to Facebook. If somebody opts in, what you get is a name and an email in some cases. In some cases, you get a number. You can cut that client's name and their email and their phone number, put them in the search bar on Facebook, or you can put them in an information search. There's all kinds of different websites that you can search information. It's examples in my agent group. And you can ultimately search to see who they are. Now, I call that social stalking. One of the coolest things that this allows you to do is see who that lead is connected to. In some cases, that person will know a friend of yours. So if they know a friend of yours, fantastic. Now you can reach out to your friend and see if you can get an introduction or start a conversation either on your Facebook Messenger or perhaps through email or phone. So just another method to follow up and get as much out of using Listing Booster as possible. So I don't know exactly who this came from, probably my good friend Greg. I believe when he gets a telephone number, they text fairly quickly, but then they call him back within 15 minutes. Then they try him again in 3 hours if they haven't responded. And then essentially they just keep going until the person either tells them, hey, stop texting me, or I just need some email information. Either way, they generally hit up those contacts at least 10 times before they give up. So I love the way those guys have built out their system, so I want to share it with some of you guys. So after 4 to 6 months, again, you can still hit these people up with emails. Now, one of the things that I've been trying to help a lot of agents with, and I have it in the agent group, is figuring out a good way to manage all this data. If you don't have a CRM and you don't know what CRM is, well, that's a great reason to work with me, be part of our program on Michigan Agent Acceleration, and spend a little bit more time learning how to move data from the internet into your contact retention management, your CRM system. So one thing I'm trying to teach folks how to do, I'll do a class on this hopefully within the next 7 days, is use a system called Zapier to move names and emails into a system that you have for long-term follow-up and also for immediate follow-up. So I have programmed currently for the agents that don't want to take control of it themselves. I have folks' information going over into a system that's called LionDesk. I know many of you guys have signed up for it and are using it. But ultimately, we can move the data from Listing Booster into LionDesk. We can start programming email follow-ups and text follow-ups and things like that, and can try to generate more interest from the folks that have looked at our properties. So I appreciate your time today, guys. And I'm so glad that we got a chance to go through this presentation. I do want to jump back real quick and just talk a little bit more about Listing Booster itself, and then I'll let you guys get back to your day. So, all right, so we talked about Listing Booster. We talked about, you know, this idea of generating interest in the property. Now, last piece I want to leave you guys with is, you know, nobody's trying to replace what you're currently doing. Nobody's trying to say that you have to use this system, or, you know, you got to get it through Mike Fisher. But what I want you guys to understand is that it's pretty apparent that there's lots of companies out there trying to build robots and try to build automation to essentially either pay us less or take our jobs. And I think it's critical that we, as loan officers, real estate agents, insurance agents, we start focusing more and more and more on automation and technology, and learn how to connect with people online, because ultimately that's the way of the world. That's where things are going. And, you know, I beg anyone to argue with me. It's pretty apparent. Everybody in the world's talking about it. So I think if you're at the point where you're just trying to learn more and you're trying to get started, if you can at least start out with systems like this, where you now learn how to create online value for your sellers, you learn how to build database lists, you learn how to be more effective at contact management. Like I said, some of our advanced classes are learning more about internet marketing and internet pixels. You know, in your starter piece is Listing Booster. Call it a gateway drug, call it, you know, a tool, but either way, it's an introduction to the world of online marketing. And I guarantee you that you know, Realtor.com and Zillow and all these folks, they are looking to raise the price and lower what you know, you get paid. Half of them are creating real estate companies. They're creating mortgage companies. They're doing everything possible to push us out. So the more that we learn how to use this data, and we learn how to market locally and make local connections and get good at follow-up, the more we can compete with them, because I don't think they're as smart as we are locally. Perhaps nationwide, yeah. But I know locally, if I'm running ads and sharing, you know, information out here on Rachel's property, the odds are good someone that looks at this house is going to know a friend of mine. And Zillow can't compete with that. They just can't. So, you know, if one of my friends, let's say my friend Jim from Cattails, ends up being friends with somebody that looks at this property on Linden, and I see that guy's name pop up, I can say, hey, Jim, friend at Cattails, I'll buy you a beer tomorrow. Can you introduce me to your friend Joe? I think he's looking for houses. Zillow cannot compete with that. Realtor.com cannot compete with that. There's no way they can compete with me drinking a beer with my buddy Jim. Just hands down, they can't. I'm sorry. So that's what my goal is, and that's why I'm trying to introduce so many of you to the world of using Listing Booster. It's not to tell you that this tech is the best thing in America, and it's good. You know, my friends that run this company, Brian Stevens and Kevin, will probably say, "Oh, Fisher, don't bash it too much." But there's other technology out there. I get that. But what I do know is that the automation behind this and the systems that I'm trying to teach agents are so good at allowing us to find people locally. And that's where we win. We build databases of local buyers and sellers. We find people online. We communicate with them how they're comfortable being communicated with. I promise you, we can pull tons and tons of contacts, extra business. We can streamline what we do. We can become more effective. And then we can introduce ourselves to some other worlds. Some of our later classes, we can talk about, again, CRMs, video marketing, and some really, really cool stuff. So this is the intro class to you guys in Michigan Agent Acceleration. This is I guess a Listing Booster teaser, but I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you know, you guys just looking at all this and drinking it in. If you want more information on signing up, Facebook message me, email me, mfisher@hancockmortgage.com, comment online. Either way, I'm not that hard to find. So I appreciate your time, and I'm going to try to figure out how to stop recording here. All right, peace out. Oh, guys, this is my military mortgage boot camp. Working with veterans and you get stuck at all, reach out to us. We do a lot of that stuff.